Hi, how's everybody doing? I'm assuming that's good. Everybody's on mute.
Yeah, we're good. Hi, Narissa.
I'm well, struggling, but I'm well. Hi, Danielle.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, Danielle.
Hi, Sharon.
Uh,
I see you all the time in the videos, but
now you're seeing me in space. Woo-hoo.
Okay, thank you all for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started with who we have here. Happy Sunday. The first official kickoff day of our 5-week challenge. Some of you have already started. But we'll go ahead and get started today. So first off, I'm doing a quick check-in on everybody. So really quick, just give me your name, where you're calling from, and just tell me how was your week. We got enough time to do that.
Hello, good night, everybody. I am Narissa, calling from Brooklyn, New York. This week was supposed to be my reset week. It was not very successful, but I am still in the right mindset, although my actions did not follow my mind.
Okay, thanks,
Hi.
Marissa. Go ahead. Who's next?
Hi, I'm Danielle. Calling from the Bronx, New York. I started this week, kind of started. Um, it's been a tough week. Let's just put it like that. I've needed a lot of comfort food this week. I think I did better than expected, but I'm ready for this first official week.
Who else? Good. Let's keep it going.
Sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. I am Phyllis calling from Lyndhurst, New Jersey. I kind of carb overloaded this week in between the two challenges. But otherwise it was fine. And sorry, I missed Wednesday. I was driving my son and completely missed the time.
Phoenix, you're saying something, but you're on mute, so I'll just jump in here.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Kaylin. I am coming in. I live in the Bronx. I haven't had it's been a stressful week. It's been a roller coaster of a week. I'll use that terminology. It has been even for myself just a little bit harder to stay focused on certain tasks that I was hoping to be more mentally present for, but my mind has drifted to other challenges. And so I'm excited that it's Sunday because I'm ready to just kick off next week.
Hi, I'm Sherry. I'm in Newark, New Jersey. And like Helen, it's been a roller coaster of a week. However, I taking most of the good from the week into this new week. Because who want that bad vibe going into a new week? Not me, no sir. So I'm going to make sure to start off the week fresh with a lot of positive ideas and positive vibes and good meal prep. I just got some free vegetables today, just taking my dog out for a walk. I just got a bag of free vegetables. I was just like, woo! And I was on the phone with my mom when I told her I got some fresh vegetables just walking the dog. And she's like, oh, that's good luck. That's your lucky year. I'm like, the year's ending, Ma. For me to have a good luck at the end of the year, I mean, you're telling me I have a sucky. only your mom can bring you back down to earth. But anyways, I got fresh vegetables, and that's great for meal prep.
She
So,
meant week. She meant week, not year. Week.
no, she meant year. She meant year. But yeah, let's go new week. Woo woo.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thanks for that. So what we're going to do in this meeting, I wanted to go over any additional questions on programming, since everybody maybe didn't get to what it was that they should have gotten to if we started last week, or if you are legitimately just starting this week. Taking a look at everything that's in your calendar and making sure that you understand everything and you don't have any particular questions. So can we open it up to that? Does anyone have any questions on anything that's in their programming?
I'll go because I wrote my questions down.
Okay, thank you.
So on the menu, it just vaguely says turkey. Does that mean turkey breast, ground turkey, or can I interchange them?
It can be ground. And the preference is always going to be the leanest portion. So then even if it's ground, if you can get it to where it's turkey breast, that would be ideal.
Okay. The other question I had about my nutrition is, you have me on protein shakes. Can I make that into a smoothie, or does it have to be milk or water?
Can you tell me the difference? What do you mean?
So if I'm doing a smoothie, it's most likely going to be like a green smoothie with fruits and vegetables. I don't know how that would play into my macros, which is why I'm asking. Or did you intend me to drink the protein powder with like an almond milk or water, or a combination of both? I'm not sure how you wanted me to prepare it.
Okay, so then if it's the protein powder is the critical part of it. So that has to be in there. Like some sort of protein source has to be in there for it to be attributing to your protein numbers for whatever that is. If you're adding vegetables, then you have to account for those too, because then you're adding carbs. Same with the fruit. If you're adding fruit, then you have to add that in there because that's adding carbs as well. So then if you make a smoothie and you put in a cup of blueberries, put a cup of blueberries in there and then see how much that adds up to for your carbs. If that throws you over on your carbs, then you have to make the adjustment accordingly. That's typically where people go wrong on those smoothies, because those numbers add up real fast.
And then for my workouts, you have a workout routine for me, but you also have walking. I'm not sure is like, what's the time or distance you want me to walk for that?
That is more of a encouragement for everybody, because I also have goals of for everyone to get in 10,000 steps.
Right.
So it's a reminder of make sure you're moving kind of thing. So yeah, like if you drive and you go to the store, park further away from the store, like that kind of thing. Take the stairs. So it's just to encourage you to move around.
Okay. Well, last week I was trying to incorporate that at work because I sit at a desk for most of the day. So I was trying to be more intentional. Like when I got those 1 minute that was like 10-minute reminders to get up and move with my Apple Watch to actually do it. So I guess I could consider that my walking.
Yep.
Okay. That's all I needed clarification on. Thanks.
Okay, great. Anyone else? I hear you, Phyllis. I mean, I don't hear you. I'm sorry, but I do see you're trying to talk.
Okay, sorry. I don't know why my phone is being weird. So I noticed, so the meal plans, you don't specify exactly what, right? But like I'm supposed to eat chicken 3 times a day and then like whatever protein it is, eat it 3 times a day, it looks like. Does that seem right?
Yeah, so let me pull yours up because I know that you weren't on the explanation call, if you will.
Yeah.
Let me just pull up your spreadsheet really quick, if you don't mind me sharing it with the group.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Oh, actually, it looks like 4 times a day because pre-workout, post-workout, and then 2 meals.
Yeah, it should be 4. Here you are. So I'm going to share. All right, so can you see the screen?
Yep.
All right, so then in this, what I did was I split it out. It is between 4 meals, if you will, and then you have 2 snacks in between,
Mm-hmm.
or throughout the day. So then if I'm looking at Monday, for instance, then it does designate. It says chicken, but then you can put whatever protein source you want here.
Okay.
And it's like I tried to switch it out throughout the week. So this is how much you do in turkey. These numbers are your ounces.
Okay.
Okay,
Mhm.
so then yeah, you could do turkey here, then it would be, and turkey and chicken are usually equivalent, they're the same.
Mm-hmm.
But if you did salmon, then it would be this number and then
Mm-hmm.
a vegetable. And again, you can go across and it could be any of these and it could
Okay.
be these numbers that correspond to that. So 3 meals here. This is where the difference is. So it says pre and post workout on here. But
Mm-hmm.
what this is, do you typically do your strength training in the morning or in the evening?
I would say more evening.
Okay, so then you would do the post workout, and someone help me because I want to make sure that I'm talking this out correctly. I think the post workout is what I have for the morning, and then the pre workout is what I have for the evening. So you won't do both of these.
Okay.
You're either doing one or the other. So if you're working out in the evening, then you're using these numbers.
Okay.
And then doing that either before or after.
Really, Phoenix?
Am I saying it backwards?
Yeah, I think so because the pre-workout, my understanding was that it was supposed to be for those who work out in the morning, right? But for I believe Gail and I who like to not eat before our workout, you said we could do the pre-workout our our um after our exercise. So
Mhm.
that's like our workout, and the post-workout was for those in the evening.
Okay.
Oh,
So
so either or?
not either or.
Uh-uh.
So so this pre-workout
Mm-hmm.
is if you are working out in the morning.
Okay.
And yes, so then my thinking on that was these are ones that are more slower digesting carbs.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to use those through in the earlier in the day so that it would provide you more energy throughout the day.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, yeah. So then if you work out in the evening, however, these are ones that have more sugar carbs.
Okay.
And so you'll have those in the evening. If you work out in the evening, then you'll do the post workout, if you will.
Okay.
And if you have enough gas to go into your workout and then eat afterwards, so I'm kind of leaving it up to you to make the call because I still want you to have that sort of rule to where you don't eat 3 hours prior to bed. So
Mm-hmm.
if you work out and then you are going to bed not too long after that, I would try to make sure that I ate before.
Okay.
Okay, so then after you work out, you're not trying to eat something and then trying to go to bed not too long after that.
Right, right. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, any questions on that? Hopefully I didn't confuse you. Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? Thank you, Danielle, for that.
I have a generalized question. After I watched the intro video
Mhm.
that you posted this morning. Okay, so we have the scheduled workouts on our individual calendars. So the 5 to 6 minute videos that share in the video with Sherry, are those what? Are we
Bonuses.
supposed to add those
Bonuses.
bonuses? Okay.
Those are bonus workouts, right?
Okay.
If you want to get in a little extra more, they are short and you have like time, you're just like, oh, I can put in something extra, but not an extended 45-minute workout,
Mhm.
then you can do it. So it's a mixture of workouts. So there's an upper body, there's a lower body, there's a cardio, there's a body weight, and then there's a fun one. But it's there as bonus for you to utilize
Okay.
outside of your workouts. If you're just like short on time, also, if you're just like, you got 10 minutes or I only got 5 minutes, I want to do something, they're there for you for added bonus, right?
Okay. All right.
Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, everyone should have gotten the information on the vision board and the goal setting for next year. Did everybody get that information?
Yes.
Okay, so Kaylin, if you don't mind, like kind of maybe going into an explanation on what that looks like, I'm gonna have Kaylin go into that. Just with you received the information today, but that's not the challenge for this week. This challenge, if you will, is going to be due at the end of our 5 weeks. So you have the entire 5 weeks to kind of think about what it is that you're wanting to put into that. But I'm gonna have Kaylin go into more detail as far as what that looks like.
Just 1 second, my computer closed some windows to do an update. Okay, yes. So really what this project is it's something that I want you to start thinking about early on in the challenge. Oftentimes, when working with clients, people say to me, the New Year's resolution, they're waiting for the new year, this is when they're going to start, this is when they're going to think about what's really important, and it's at that time. But you all have decided to jumpstart and not take the winter off and restart in the new year. So this kind of primes you to think about where you are now, coming off of a previous challenge, if you did, and rolling into this one. Where do you want to be at the beginning of the year? So over the next 6 or so weeks, what I would like you to really start doing is putting together what will become your vision board for 2025. So this is thinking of the things that inspire you now and the things that you think will inspire you to come. This is more than just, I want to lose 5 pounds. This is more than just, I'm going to try to meditate, right? This is really putting, I like to call it a setting your intentions board. So you can use words, you can use pictures or images, phrases, anything that really makes you inspired. And this is going to be total inclusive, not just fitness, but potentially things about your health, things you want to be able to accomplish, whether it's Phoenix mentioned the 10,000 steps, maybe it's 18,000 steps or something you want to build on to where you're wanting to go. Maybe it's getting better sleep or reading that book that you talked about or saving that money for that vacation. But all of these things kind of come together to create a vision board. This board should be something that at the end, our very final week, it's something that you can say, I know what my goals are, because you specified them. You know about how you're going to accomplish it or what things you think you'll need to do to achieve it, the actions towards it. And then how do you know when that goal will be done? How do we make it measurable? Do you have a timeline for when you want it done? Whether it's save money to go to a destination wedding or whatever that may be. And this board will hopefully set the tone for how we end this year, but really what we're going to work on in 2025. So instead of waiting till the beginning of the year and then trying to think of in that moment what's important to you and kind of like, you're going to take the last several weeks, the next several weeks to really think about what's important to you as an individual. And then we can also start to use some of those things to tailor topics and conversations, things that we want to work with you all on next year as well.
Okay, thank you for that, Kaylin. And so I really want to kind of open up this conversation to something that she mentioned within what it was that she was utilizing to explain it to you all when she mentioned intention. So I wanted to focus on that as far as intentionality and being intentional and what that meant to you. When I looked up the word, it was making a deliberate choice to reflect what is most important. So deliberate, meaning on purpose. And I really want us to think about that. I was reading something that said life is 10% of what happens and 90% of how we react to it. And I think that that's important because a lot of times we fall back on this idea of this thing happened to me, and then there's nothing that we can do about it. And we fall victim to our environment. We fall victim to all of these different things that we think we have no control over. So wanted to open up that discussion and kind of probe your brains on what it is that you feel like you need to do to be more intentional. If you're being intentional, being deliberate, being purposeful, what does that look like for you? What does that mean?
I don't know about y'all, but as a woman, I feel like I always try to be intentional at the beginning of every day. Like I have things set out to do. Whether I get to them or not is what I kind of feel. Phoenix, like you're saying, like this thing kind of happened to me, but sometimes it really feels that way because your day can go a whole different way, regardless of how many plans you have. And Kaylin, about the vision board, like I get being prepared before the new year, and I love this idea of like starting out early, but I always fail when I like when I set those sort of goals. Like I hate to say it like that. I like more long-term goals. So like you're right. It could be more for like, you know, long-term versus like immediate goals. But like for this plan, I like the idea of like, hey, I have a plan not to be not to go crazy over the holidays and to, you know, continue to work out as it gets colder and, you know, like we go through that season. So for me, like, I guess continuing with my list, I have lists every day, guys. I don't know about you, but I have these lists and it's hard for me to get through them. So I was gonna say that to you earlier, Phoenix, about like with the eating plan and the workouts and everything. It's just like now it's something else added to my list. So I'm trying to like balance that, you know? So my already to-do list, I'm sorry that came out kind of like a little complaint, but that's like me shuffling. Like I always try to be intentional. I always have those goals, but I just feel like I never get there.
Okay, thank you for that. So then, and I feel the same way sometimes because I'm the same. I have to have lists. I have to check off things and stuff like that. But when I don't have lists, even if I have stuff to where I have too much to do, if I don't have anything at all, then I always feel like I'm not doing enough. So for me, it helps me to have, even if I don't even get through half of them, it helps me to have something that's there so that I know that I'm doing something. It reminds me, oh, you know, like you're not just, you said failing. You're not failing every day. You really aren't. Like you really are doing things, but then it's like maybe you're just not doing all of the things. For me, I put a lot of stuff. I probably put more stuff on there than I could actually really do.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and I wanted to say, like, I think that sometimes we create these lists, and then we don't give ourselves grace. I think that ultimately the vision board, the list, the things that you want to accomplish, these are all things that are innate and personal to you. And whether you achieve it or don't achieve it, the goal here is that you also have a support group, right? You've got a bunch of people who you have talked about your vision with, have who believe in your vision just as much as you want to see you being successful. Sometimes I think that we create these lists and then we narrow down on trying to do it our own and hammer it out on our own without even realizing that there could have been supports along the way. And so allowing us to share our visions of whatever that might be, and also acknowledging our own inner strengths. One more thing, with Phoenix, I think Phoenix and I were talking about that the other day. Just sometimes you can feel like there's just so much to do. But if you're making progress towards it, you're doing more of it than not, but no one's ever probably doing 100% of everything. But when we see what it was we didn't do, it also helps us figure out why we maybe didn't achieve something when we thought we would. And maybe that's when we adjust our timeline, or we realize that something we skipped was actually more important than something we were tackling, because we tend to tackle the things that are easier to do anyway. And we tend to leave the things that are more tricky for us as the ones that are kind of the forgotten about ones. But remember that there's no perfection here. And that's also with giving you all the time to kind of think of what do you want it to be. So there's no get this assignment done by next week, Friday at 7 p.m. Like this, we're not in high school here. It's more just as you're thinking of things through the holidays, you're talking with your families and you're going through these experiences, as these things pop out at you, maybe just jot that word down or remember that phrase. And then that's what we're using here. Things that will be really relevant to you. I hope that makes a little more sense, or seems a little less daunting anyway.
Hi, could I say I like the idea of a vision board because I think it's good to have the big picture in mind and what you're striving for, because I feel like all these daily tasks kind of, keep us so busy that we lose sight sometimes of, why we're doing them, or, and when we say, what's most important, like, either a vision board or however we kind of get it out, then I feel like it's better to help us prioritize all those things, because there are so many things that you just run around like a crazy person, you're, gonna kind of not prioritize well, and maybe, do the things that aren't going to make you most fulfilled.
Yep, thank you for that, Phyllis. And so that brings me to two. You guys are setting me up. So then there's two different quotes that I had written down. One was from this is from Michelle Obama. For me, becoming isn't about arriving somewhere or achieving a certain aim. I see it instead as forward motion, a means of evolving, a way to reach continuously towards a better self. The journey doesn't end, so like Kaylin was talking about, and like it's not about getting all of those things. It's about moving forward or moving in the direction of those things. But you have to have, and just like Phyllis is saying, you have to have a direction. You have to know where you're going, right? Otherwise, you're just going to be kind of feeling like you're not really, that you're doing a whole bunch of different things and not really going anywhere in particular. So then that kind of brings us to that idea of having your why. When you know why you want it, this is a popular one, no excuse will come between you and your dream. And I challenge the dream word. I kind of hate it sometimes when that word is used. I feel like that word infers something that you sleep on and then you wake up and it's not really there. So then I would change that out to something I feel like that's more maybe your vision. We're talking about vision boards. So maybe your vision, because people are, oh, that's a dream for me. And it's always just something that always seems kind of far-fetched, or something that you just kind of dreamt up at night and then you wake up and it's not really there. So what is it that's your vision? Know what that is. And as long as you're taking steps towards that, then you're making progress towards that. Any other thoughts on that? No?
No, other than to say the crafty side of me is intrigued.
Good. Okay. Okay. So we'll move off of that. That's what I'm really going to focus on is intentionality. Kaylin had mentioned the thing about support, and that's also something that I want to stress that you have in this space. And I think that it's important to have support. It's important to have community when you're trying to do anything. And in this particular case, and with what it is that we're trying to do, and then with us being, you know, women, and I feel like if you can, that's what I want this space to be, a means of you being able to lean on each other. So slowing down how you're trying to do things. I'm always quick to, because I think that most of us are used to having to do things on our own. So we do things really quick. It's like something comes up and you're like, oh, I need to do this. And you don't lean on other people because you don't typically have other people to lean on, or you're not used to doing that. So know that you have that here, you know, and you know, others of you may have supports in other areas. I'm not saying that you don't have to lean on these other people. But if you are used to, especially trying to do all these things on your own, just know that you don't have to. So we're all going through just this little thing, but then just like we have already kind of talked about, I'm also asking you or encouraging you to utilize this space in that bigger picture of, you know, if you have other things that are going on for you, and we come to, that's why I ask you guys what came up for you this past week, what's going on with you. Because sometimes you don't have an outlet for that. So know that you can do that here. And that 9 times out of 10, there's somebody else that's going through the same thing, or there's someone else that can relate, or there's someone else that can provide you some sort of comfort or encouraging words to help you through that. So thoughts and questions on that? Okay. Oh,
Well, I was just gonna simply say that I appreciate the space that you have created for us, Phoenix. I know before the last challenge, I hadn't been around for a while. But I know that if I reach out to you, this is always a space where I'm gonna learn and grow. And I appreciate that.
thank you for that. Okay, so if we don't have anything else, I have just 2 other things that I wanted to end, well, yeah, kind of end on. I do have it to where I have you all set up to do check-ins weekly, to make us more accountable. I know that on this last challenge, you turned in your pictures and stuff like that, and that was your check-in, but I didn't really follow up on those or make any sort of comments on them. I did look at them, and then if you made any sort of suggestions or had any comments, then I would look at that. But I would actually want to have like a conversation with you each week. So it doesn't have to be long. And if you're doing all the things, then it doesn't have to be long at all. Like you could just be like, yeah, it was a good week, or, you know, maybe I need to do this, but come in with what it is that you feel like you maybe needed to work on from the past week, etc. I'm wanting to set up times. So if you already kind of have an idea, it'd just be maybe a 15-minute call. And we could do it on Sunday, because I really want to save these calls for these types of conversations. So like more of a group situation. So if you could think of a time, and I guess we don't have to do that or designate it now. I just didn't want to have to chase everybody throughout the week. Then I'll probably have Sam chase everybody throughout the week. He doesn't like doing that either. So think of a time, a 15-minute slot that you have on Sundays that we can keep consistent each week. If you already know, you can tell me now, but otherwise think on that and then I'm gonna have Sam reach back out.
For me, I would say generally, I guess Sundays at 12 would be good. Um, this Sunday I'll be traveling. I'm not sure what my flight is yet. But generally I would be available at 12 on Sundays.
Well, and we have this call at 7. Are we, are you available right before the call or right after? Anybody?
Sundays aren't the best, honestly, but I would say probably right after would be good for
Okay.
me.
I can do before the calls.
Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, good. Oh, I'm letting Naomi in. While I'm letting her in, so what I wanted us to end on, what I want you all to think on before we go into our closing remarks, are some positive. I feel a lot of tired and this was a rough week last week vibes. So I want you all to think of an encouraging word that you can pass on to everyone on this call for this next week. Encouraging. Let's think on that. Naomi, hi. You okay? I know you're driving. Can you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm in the dark in the car. I had another meeting for my second job tonight. So hi, everybody. Even though you can't see me. Hold on, wait. Okay, now you can. Hi.
You know you're light-skinned, so we can see you.
Oh, is that what we're doing? It's what we not gonna do.
Yeah, okay.
She knows I'm playing with her. We had this whole conversation about being light-skinned.
We talk about it all the time. We actually try to see who's lighter than the other one. We haven't figured it out yet.
No, we figured it out.
No, we haven't. I'm in the dark, so it's not me.
But we can still see you. That alone tells us who's the lighter of the two.
I want you to get in the dark, and I want to see if I can see you. We can compare it to in the dark too. Don't start with me. You already know.
What is happening?
Listen, the rest of this is how it normally goes. See? You don't know. We've been taking it light. You
I'm
just don't
sorry,
know.
I don't have those problems.
Shucks.
She said we've been taking it light.
We've been taking it light. This is what we do.
Okay, so Naomi, if you don't mind, what we led in with was, just your name, where you're calling from, aside from your car, and how your this past week was for you.
So my name is Naomi. I am in New Jersey, South Jersey. And my last week, apparently we all had bad weeks for what I'm hearing when I walked in, because my week was horrible. But it's more because life is lifing for me right now. And it just seems to not be getting better. I keep getting bad news after bad news after bad news. And somebody called me on Wednesday night and was like, hey, can you stop by? I was like, sure, and got more bad news. It's just, I can't, it's a lot going on right now for me. But I'm trying to remain focused and positive. So that's why when I got on the phone, I heard Phoenix, you say something positive. I was like, please don't start with me, because I need to decompress first before I have to say something positive. So it's been a week, I have to say. I was a little stressed out today. I had to calm myself down. You know, trying to get these 10,000 steps in and trying to It was just a lot. I was stressing today because I was like, I'm not gonna get this done today, and it was bothering me. But I had to like take a deep breath and be like, all right, listen, you know, you've been on top of it for 6 or 7 days. I think you're gonna be okay. Like it was, I've just been all over the place. So I appreciate all of you guys tonight for being on the call and for listening to my little bit of rant. But I know it's gonna be all right. So we're gonna be all right. That's what I keep telling myself. We're gonna be all right.
Okay, so we touched on a little bit of all of those things actually from everybody that was on the call. And one of the things that I was talking about was being intentional and making sure that, well, being intentional, one, we talked about what that meant and being purposeful and deliberate in what it is that we're doing. Something that I feel like I just thought of when you were talking that I wanted to mention to everybody too was that I know that sometimes, Danielle had mentioned, like it feels like another thing, like with the watching what you eat and doing the exercising, it adds another task, if you will, to what it is that you have to do. It make you feel like you have more to do, but then also remember that this is like, it is a self-care thing. You eating what it is that's good for you helps you, even though, so try not to think of it as, I'm trying to change your perception or change your perspective on that, as it's not an extra thing. It is a thing that you need, you know, and if we can get into the habit of doing that regularly, then it's just something that, you know, that even though it's not an immediate, like, oh, this is helping me, it is. Because then if you're eating poorly on top of lifing, then at the end of all that, you feel 10 times worse, you know?
I think for me, the other thing I had to do was like, I knew today, like I've done I've walked 4 miles every day for the last 6 days. And I knew that was not going to be able to happen today just because of the way my day was structured. And I had to take the minute to like almost forgive myself, because I was beating myself up. I was like, oh my God, you've done 4 miles every day for the last, like, oh my God, how come you're not getting this done? Like, you have to get this done. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do 10,000 steps. Like, I literally was going overboard, I felt like, in my own mind. And then I was disappointed in myself. And then I was upset because I was like, oh my God, like, you got to get this done. And then all of a sudden I heard myself say, am I breaking up? Okay. And then all of a sudden I heard myself say to myself, calm down. Like, calm down. Like, this is not supposed to stress you out. Like, calm down.
Yep.
How about you look at it as, I got 10,000 steps in. I did 4 miles for 6 days. I didn't go to work, so I didn't have any extra steps, but I got all those steps in, even though I didn't work and I wasn't running around the building and I wasn't doing this and I wasn't doing that. I got it done. Like, I had to change the perspective because I literally almost cried today because I was not going to get everything done. I was like almost in tears, and I was like, okay, this is not what this is for. And then I said to myself, and if you call Phoenix to tell her that, or text Phoenix or reach out to Phoenix, she's gonna be like, why are you stressing yourself? I told you not to do that. And then I didn't want to get yelled at either. So I decided to get myself together. So that's what I did. But I really had to find the positive. Like, I had to spin it on myself, because if I didn't, I literally was going to break down today. And I knew that was not what I was supposed to be doing.
Right.
So I understand where you're coming from, Naomi, because I had a similar situation because I'm trying to get on this new eating plan. And Phoenix, you know what ended up happening? I'm just not eating. Right? Because I don't have the right things, or I'm like measuring everything and I'm just like, I'm losing it. I feel like I'm getting to that point, and I eat less than I normally eat. And I don't think that's our plan. Like, I'm losing weight, but it's not because it's a healthy losing weight. It's a more of an obsessive, I gotta like get everything right sort of thing. And I get it. And I had to tell myself, okay, this is not how this is supposed to be. What do you have? And, like, work that around and try to make it work for me. Right? I had to realize that that's not what I'm trying to do with this holiday hustle and this plan. So I had to get back to the original thought behind the process, behind the whole plan, and center myself before I lost it, before I started eating less than I was eating before and losing weight unhealthily. So
Okay, that's good. Is there anyone else that's like that on the phone? Like it has to be exactly what it is that you have in your meal plan? What do we do? Does anyone else have a method of not doing that? When we start to spiral, like Naomi was talking about and like Danielle's talking about, what do we do then? Does anyone have suggestions?
I think as long as you're eating like non-processed, like, good foods. Like the first challenge I did with you guys, I didn't even follow the meal plan. I just eliminated what you said to eliminate. And then, yeah, it was amazing. Like I did better on that one than the last one where I tracked everything I ate. So I feel like as long as you're eating well, and my encouraging thing I was going to say is, if you have a bad day, which we always, all of us will, like start the next day and don't like beat yourself up and don't, make it, don't say you have a bad week just because you have one bad day. You can have one bad day and the next day is, you can start fresh. So that's my 2 cents.
Yep, thank you for that, Phyllis.
I want to give Naomi her flowers because I have been struggling with these 80 ounces and 10,000 steps. And the fact that you were, again, intentional about still getting your steps and walking 4 miles a day because you knew you were home and wasn't going to do your normal step routine, I'm giving you your flowers on that. As far as us perfectionists,
that's the right word, Melissa. That is the right word.
I'm the same way. Danielle and I are only a couple of days apart, so we struggle with a lot of the same things. If I don't have what is on my meal plan in my house, I struggle with my food and I struggle with my meal plan for that week. Even when I tell myself, Narissa, just supplement what you have in your house with what's on the meal plan, I still struggle. But my encouraging words for us is to just simply keep going. We aren't perfect, although we aim to be. So just keep going. Keep, like Phoenix said, with our to-do list, we're always going to put more on our plate than we can handle. As long as we accomplish the littlest task that is on that list, we have not failed. And that's just the mindset we have to keep going. That's just the mindset we have to keep going. So that's why I chose those words as my positive affirmations for this week.
Good, thank you for that. Kaylin?
I'm just gonna jump in here and say my words, and then I'm gonna jump out because I actually have an evening class at 8 o'clock. For the next several weeks at things I do to myself. But what I wanted to say is, I think that if we think of things as stepping stones, it's a little less overwhelming. Sometimes we've got the destination or the big goal or whatever that vision is in mind, and And the only thing we can think about is how far away that is, or how much effort or how much work it's going to take to make X accomplishable. But I think that if we remember that each stepping stone along the way is a super big success that's taking us to a place we weren't before, that then it gives us a little bit of room to acknowledge all of the effort that you are putting in, and then to breathe. Sometimes it gets easy to remember or to focus on where we haven't gotten to yet, that we forget all the things we've already done that got us to where we are now. And if we hadn't taken those steps, we probably would be much further away than we actually would want to be from wherever it is that we're headed. So I think that this week, as we settle into our routines, maybe taking an extra, take a look at the meal prep list to make sure you've got everything in advance so that you don't end up with those high anxiety moments. Making sure that you have a backup what to do, or even if it's this really stresses me out when I have to measure, then do all your measuring early in the week. So it's 1 day or 2 days in the week that you have to measure. And the rest of the days it's grab this zippy bag, grab this container, mix and go. But just think of it as, today I'm going to take these steps because in the long run, they'll get me to X, Y, and Z, instead of today I'm going to leap from here to somewhere else. I think that whenever we start new things, I'm in a new master's program, for the second master's program. I'm gonna have more education than anyone even knows would do it. But it's easy to think of, in the last program, I didn't have to work this hard for this. It's like I was able to accomplish this and this, or I have another 2 years before I'm going to get this other whole new certification. And then I start to get overwhelmed with all of the things that have to happen within that 2 years, that I forget to enjoy the moment now of something that I'm doing is really awesome, which is taking another step to better myself. And B, I'm doing something that most people still wouldn't do or haven't thought of doing, which is a huge accomplishment in and of itself. So take your baby steps, cheer yourself along on each one. And if you only take it one step at a time, we're also less likely to fall, right? So I think that's what my positive feedback for myself, and hopefully it'll motivate you this week as well.
Thanks, Kaylin.
You're welcome.
Kaylin, I just want you to know, I just started my second master's program as well, too. So we're in this together.
We're in this together. Look at that support. I love it.
Yeah, 2 years. I'm 2 years out too. So I just started my first class, and it's a total different. I'm a vice principal at a high school. It's a total different career path for me. I'm going into HR, so it's a little bit more difficult, but we got this.
We got this. I love it. Thank you for sharing that with me, because I was like, oh my God, I'm in my 40s. I'm going back to school for the
Exactly
time, a career change, fish out of water. But no, thank you for sharing that with me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You ladies
I
have a
love
good night. I look forward to
you
working with
too.
this challenge.
Good night.
I love that y'all are going back to school and I'm just trying to pay my bills. So
That's
okay.
going back to
I'm trying to buy the groceries on the list, the food list, because I eat only organic. And so that's what I'm dealing with. Like when I talk about like, I don't have this and I don't have that and I don't have the exact thing that I need. And like Kaylin was saying, that was going to be my encouraging thing. I have just decided to remind myself to take things one step at a time. I don't know about you ladies, but I have a lot of other health problems that I'm dealing with, right? And that on top of like trying to change my diet, I'm trying not to stress myself out. So it does the opposite of what I'm trying to do here, right? Because when I get stressed out, my food doesn't digest. And then Phoenix, I had a flare this week because I was ovulating. So I had an interesting week this week, and I had to allow myself to have that grace. You know, I had to give myself that grace, right? And keep reminding myself, because there are times when, like Naomi was saying, you're like, wait, what's happening? And you're like, this is not working out. I didn't get my steps in some days. And I tried to do them in the house, or or work just ended up being a lot more that day than it would typically be, right? And I realized I had to keep reminding myself. So maybe just like me posting it on a post-it, and I pin it to like my pin board above my desk to remind myself, or even in the kitchen on the fridge before you go out and get that food or whatever it is you're doing. I have to remind myself that it's okay, that everything is not happening at the exact time that I think it should happen.
Mhm.
Right? So just one step at a time, one day at a time.
Thank you for that. Sherry, you have anything to add?
My ad to is staying positive. I know it's cheesy. And it's like you've heard it before, but staying positive. There's a lot of instances will come up like last week that is just like, this day sucks, or I didn't do this, or wow, this is enough. I can't take it. There's gonna be a silver lining somewhere. Stay positive. It's gonna come. Like I thought the day was just like, I'm like, I forgot to get vegetables today when I was in the city. I mean, I was there half a day, and I'm just like, I passed like 4 vendors, and that was in my head. I need to get vegetables, and I'm just like, I was not getting it. And I was like, I need to go home because I don't want to stay in the city any longer. Taking my dog out for a walk, and now I've got 3 bags of organic apples.
Ooh, that's nice.
3 bags of organic lettuce because they're from farms in New Jersey. Onions, sweet potatoes. Like I've got enough to be. I'm gonna make mashed potatoes, sweet potato mash. I'm gonna make some, French fries. Like I'm peeling apples to make crock pot applesauce. Okay, I've got a lot of apples. That was a positive day for me because I didn't have to go get, because I'm just like, the day's ending and I didn't feel like I did anything except work, and I want to get my like domestic things done for meal prep. But that, I have to say, this is the second week because last week a friend gave me a whole roasted chicken and shredded crock pot chicken because she said, I cooked this and like no one came to my party, so here. I'm like, thank you. I didn't have to meal prep last week. So just know that there is a positive aspect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it's a balance. It's a balance. Life, you will have some lemons. Let me tell you, someone will throw you some stevia or monk fruit, and you can make some lemonade. Okay? But there's always a positive aspect. You just gotta be aware of it and look for it because it's there. Right? Don't be so overwhelmed and like it didn't happen or this is a clusterfuck to see that there is something positive right there. It may be small. Like my mom said, it took me all year, but I'm lucky. Yeah, today was a lucky day. That's all.
Okay, and you all said some really good things. I'm gonna leave you with 3 different things that I picked up from everybody. One, what you said, Danielle, about time and timing. I think that a lot of times we think that we are failing because we want things to happen by a certain time. There's no time constraint, right? So then if you believe that whatever it is that is supposed to be given to you will come to you, then it's not on your time. Right. So then don't refrain or don't contain yourself into or put yourself into this box thinking it needs to happen by a certain time and adding strength to the fact that that hasn't happened. It just means it hasn't happened yet. So keep that in mind. Right. With that, in that same regard, watching yourself talk. So watching yourself talk, not watching yourself talk, but listening, right? So making sure that you're very mindful of what it is that you're telling yourself, right? All of these different things, when we're going into these spirals and stuff like that, a lot of times that it starts off with a thing, and then that thing is either gone or hasn't happened or happened before. And now we're just adding words to that. Oh, and this, and I feel so stupid, and why did I have to do that? And so then that is when we start to take ourselves down. And that has to do with what it is that we're telling ourselves. So really, that's when I'm talking about slow yourself down. Danielle's saying the same thing. Give yourself grace. Think of what it is that you're really saying, or what it is that you're saying that is not true. That's a huge thing. A lot of times we're saying all of these different things, And most of the time, they're not things that are actually either they haven't come to fruition or they're not real things. It's just how you're making yourself feel. And remember that is how you are making yourself feel. Nobody can make you feel a certain way. Nobody can make situations cannot make you feel a certain way. How it is that you come out of those situations is what you assign to that. Okay. And the last thing I'm going to end with is what Sherry kind of talked about. There's always a positive. When I went, so this past weekend, I serve on a board with the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And we had workshops all weekend. And one of the things that I really loved was this presentation because he had a glass and he's talking about perception. And then we all say, or we've all heard this idea of, well, there are some people who see a glass as half empty. And then we have some people who see this glass as half full. And so he showed that. And then he said, but if your perspective is different, this glass is always full. And so he showed it half empty, if you will. It was halfway full with water, but the rest he designated was full of air. So what I encourage you to do is to look at things and understand that there is always, just like Sherry was saying, there's always a silver lining. There's always something that you can see in something that is a positive thing. I don't believe that bad things, things that are not ideal do happen. But there is always something that comes out of that. There's a reason why those different things happen, you know? And not to say I don't like throwing around the whole thing, well, there's a reason for everything, right? But there is, you know? And like I said, like if we are thinking along the lines of, well, this thing is happening or these different things not happening, if these different things are happening, but then it's all going to end, like that end goal is for the good of you, then what is it that we can do with those different things as they happen? Does that make sense? Questions, comments, last thoughts? My word for you this week, give me one word. My word for you all this week is what I've been talking about. Be intentional. Be intentional.
My takeaway from this meeting, and I just wrote it in my notes, is see the positive.
I think my takeaway is going to be the word self-care, and remembering that that's the whole point of this. It's not to drive me crazy. It's not, to make me feel like I have another thing to do, because, it was like, oh my God, 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Do I normally get 6 to 8 hours of sleep? I don't know. Do I? Oh my God. Then I have to do 10,000 steps. Oh my God. And then and then she wants me to strength train on top of all this. What kind of self-care? Take care of yourself. That's what this is for. If you get the steps in, but you don't get the strength training in, great. If you get the training in, but you don't get the steps in, great. Take the time. It's self-care. You get it all done, great. Self-care. Like, that's what I have to remember. So that's my takeaway.
Takeaway, know that you're supported. This is the space for it.
Yes. I'm happy that I'm not the only person who had that sort of moment with our task list, but my takeaway is to be a little more positive and to take it one step at a time. In all honesty, that's the pace that I have to go at. Everyone has their own pace, and so it's not necessarily trying to measure off of like how anybody else is going or what we expect where we should be. Do it at where you're at right now, like, push yourself, but it's okay to not be like achieving everything.
Yep. Thank you all for that. I feel like I need to bring it back. We had a call. Naomi, you probably remember there was a discussion that we had on perfectionism, and it was a really good one. So I will probably bring that discussion back. We have a lot of, me included. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I'm not recovering very well, but
it's funny because I don't think of myself as a perfectionist, but then like when it comes to this particular thing, like when it comes to really, I think to my problem, Phoenix, is I know where I was 4 years ago. I know where I was, my weight. I know where I was as far as, how I felt about my body. I know where I was. So to have to quote unquote get back there, I think that's part of my internal struggle is I know where I was. I was, when I first started with you, I was 235. I got down to 172. It happened in 10 months. I was like moving, shaking, you know what I mean? And so now here it is 4 years later. But again, it's 4 years later. I'm 4 years older. I have more going on in my life. You know what I mean? Like I'm not giving myself the proper transition to be like, look, you can get back there, but it may not happen the same way.
Mhm.
So take your time, relax. And I think when you sent me my stats from the 8-week, it made me go, oh my God, I did that? Because I don't pay attention. I just go, oh my God, she needs these freaking stats. Let me get them done. So I don't ever look at them. So when you sent them to me, I was like, oh, well, that's pretty darn good. I didn't even realize that. So I keep telling myself, you're going to get back to where you were. Because I think one time I said to you, can I be thin and happy? Like, I don't have to pick, do I? Like, I don't have to just be happy or just be thin. Like, I can do both. And you're like, yes, you can do both. Stop asking me a question. And I'm just trying, but I have to give myself grace. So that's why I keep saying self-care. That the breathing, the grace, the taking one step at a time, that all comes from taking care of myself. So self-care. But I don't think of myself as a perfectionist, but I guess in some ways I am. Shut up, Phoenix.
I just remember that used to be the answer on interview questions. Oh, what's one negative thing about you? Oh, I'm a perfectionist. You know, remember they always used to make you say always say something kind of like
Right.
positive to let them know. And I always used to say I was a perfectionist, but like Narissa said that we're a couple of days apart birthday wise, so maybe she is as A-type personality as I can be. Okay, so that's that personality that I have lived with my whole life. I have accepted myself.
Yep.
Okay. And I realize that as I get older, I need to not be that way with myself. Right? Me of all things, like I have to, and God is also teaching me that because there are things that are coming in that are beyond my control, right? And that's what I'm realizing. I'm not trying to say the whole weight thing has always been something that I've tried to control, like that ways. But I think we can do our best, right? But there's only so much you can do. I can't be as neurotic as I used to be. Phoenix knows my goal was to get a 6-pack. Okay, it never happened. It never happened. I still had the little imprints, but it never got to the definition in the middle. But I had to allow myself to get there, to allow myself to realize that, hey, maybe that's not for me, but I did good, that's what I'm trying to say. You have to realize what's for you and not beat yourself up too much, So, yeah.
In this group, right? Like perfectionism is a form of control.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Danielle marriage has taught me that.
I can't imagine.
Okay, well, thank you all for that. And thank you all for your input and your feedback. I do appreciate you all for sharing. I'll have this recording on, but I'll have Sam put it out there after he does any edits. But I encourage you to have a good.
Did you guys record the meeting on Wednesday or Thursday?
Maybe. I think.
Yeah, I think you did.
So let me
Okay.
check. I don't.
Can you send that one? Because I missed it. Somehow I thought it was Thursday, and then Thursday came and there wasn't a meeting.
Yeah, let me check and see if I actually sent it to him to have him edit it.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. So have a good week. Don't forget to check in. Your check-in day is on Friday. And then Narissa, just let me know what the time is for you that works best for you on Sunday. And that's it. Have a good week. of being
All
on.
right.
Thank you
Non-comfort.
guys. Have a good week.